Hey Shooby Doodlers, how are you doing? Well, I've been away for the last week promoting my book Walker, the Boy Who Can Talk to Dogs, and sort of doing readings and showing people how to draw dogs as well. I've been up at the Edinburgh International Book Festival, and then I went to a library in Shropshire yesterday as well. And while I was in Edinburgh, I went into the author's tent, which is kind of where we get organised before we do our talks and things, and quite often meet up with other people. And there was my old pal Chris Mould, who is a children's book illustrator. I went to visit Chris Mould about 3 or 4 years ago at his amazing studios in this gigantic old Victorian carpet mill in Halifax, up in the north of England. And it's an extraordinary place where there are lots of other artists and businesses and start-up digital things going on there. And I made some videos. I made 2 or 3. I think I made about 4 videos about him there. And probably while I was talking to Chris in the tent, Steve McGrath was commenting on one of the videos that I'd made, and it's really interesting what he says. Steve says, thank you for commenting, fascinating listening to Chris saying that he has to draw. He isn't just saying that, he really does. I was on the same course at college with Chris, and when we used to stand or sit around in the studios just talking or messing, Chris would be joining in, but he would still be sitting behind his drawing desk, drawing away. And when we went on a trip to the National Film School down south, this is really interesting, we stopped off for an hour in Oxford on the way, and Chris, knowing this, had requested to show Oxford University Press his portfolio in the hour that he had, and they signed him up. It was obvious that Chris was going to shine. There you go. That's how you become a successful professional illustrator. And in fact, Chris was there promoting this latest book that he's illustrated, The Iron Man by Ted Hughes. This is a really famous book, and you don't get to be asked to illustrate a book like that unless you are a very famous and successful illustrator already. So he's come a long way, and I'm very proud of him. And love the stuff that he does. And I think he stands as a really good example for how you become a successful professional illustrator. He sat at his desk all day long drawing. And I keep saying on this channel, practice, 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 drawing, drawing, drawing. And that is exactly what it's all about. You just need to draw all the time with a little bit of intelligence. I think just drawing la 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 is not going to get you there. You've got to be constantly thinking, why am I doing this? You need to be analysing your drawing, improving, thinking, how can I do that a different way? How can I do that a different way? Looking at other people's work, think, how did they do that? Can I incorporate that kind of thing into my work, that sort of way of looking at the world into my work? And I think by doing that, looking at other people's work, trying out different things, I think sort of creative people are always going, oh, I've just had an idea, oh, I just really want to have a go at that. And it's really good to do that and have a go. But if you start thinking, this isn't really for me, come back to the main path and keep going. It's paths, trees, whatever, climbing up a tree. You can go out on a branch and go, this is really exciting, until you get to the end of the branch and you're just about to fall off, and just pull yourself back again. Saw that branch off. Leave it alone. Saw it off so you don't ever go down that path again. It's not a path, it's a branch. I know I'm mixing my metaphors. But don't get distracted and keep going down these different paths or off down these branches. Try them out. If it's not for you, cut it off. And just keep going up until one day you kind of emerge out of the canopy at the top of the tree, and you'll have assimilated all this stuff along the way, and it will have all tumbled together with the amount of work and practice that you put into kind of creating your own individual style. And people keep asking, how do you develop your style? That's how you do it. You draw, and you try everything. But don't get too distracted. It's about focus. And, you know, if you're like Chris, you like Gothic kind of stuff, you keep focusing, but you will look at other people, say, how can I bring that 18th century watercolour style into my Gothic? And maybe I can bring that kind of thing in. And how do I bring Picasso into Gothic? You know, the way Picasso looked at things, and how do I bring Rembrandt into, and just feeding yourself with new ideas all the time. And then the other thing is this kind of entrepreneurial thing, which Chris has obviously got. And I know as I walked around the mill with him, he was he was doing deals here and there, and setting up galleries and things. And he's an entrepreneur, and you can tell that by the way he sort of fixed up that appointment. And in fact, I did exactly the same when I started. I was going to see one publisher in London, and I was having to stop off in Oxford on the way, and so I thought I will go and see Oxford University Press. And it was all about being at the right place at the right time. And I had a little series of books I was going to show the publisher next day. And while I went to see Oxford University Press, they saw these little books and they said, "What's this all about?" And I told them, they said, "Whoa, we love them. We got this thing coming up. This fits perfectly." And it was just right time, right place. But if I had not gone there in that little bit of time that I had along the way, I'd never have had that opportunity. And in fact, those books went selling for 20 years. They served me very, very well. Entrepreneurialism is about, you know, taking those opportunities. And I know a lot of artists are very reluctant to do the business, certainly reluctant to talk about money. And so the way around that is to get an agent, but still you have to sell yourself to the agent, and you may well find that the agent has 20, 30, 40 other artists they're looking after. And so it's up to you to keep doing the business with the agent to make sure that you are top of their list and you're the first person they think of. And having got you the work, you still then have to work with the art director or the editor or whatever, and build that relationship too. But at least the agent is bringing you together and making that introduction. I've noticed over the years when I've gone to festivals and things, then people have come up, "Would you sign this book, you know, for my little girl here?" And then they ask these questions about writing and how do you do this and how do you do that. And then the next year they'll be there again asking more complicated questions. And then 3 or 4 years later, they're in the author room with me, and they've become authors themselves because they've kind of got themselves into the business by talking and meeting, and they've, you know, gone to conferences and festivals and found out who's who. And in the end, it is all about making those kind of personal relationships with editors and publishers and art directors. Seeing it from their point of view, I know some people say, "Oh, you just put your portfolio on the internet," but an art director has to trawl through stuff and think, "Oh, I quite like that, I quite like that." And it's a bit like Tinder. Well, I've never been on Tinder, but you're going left and right. Yes, I like, yes, I don't. Yes, I like, yes, I don't. And it all just becomes a blur in the end. Whereas if somebody turns up with a portfolio on time, and they're bright and perky, and they're full of ideas, and prepared to try things out and work with the publishers or whoever you're working with, and they deliver on time, which is really important, so important in publishing, and just get on with it and be professional. An art director is going to choose them way before they're going to start trolling through websites trying to find somebody else. So it really is about that personal relationship and taking the opportunities to meet people and to go out there and push yourself, and recognising this is an opportunity and take it when you can. Just recognising opportunities is pretty hard in the first place. So there's so many times I got, "Oh dear, I should have done that." But you learn from those mistakes. So I think that's about all I got to say today, which is quite a lot. So thank you, Steve McGrath, for sending that in. It was great to see Chris Mould. And now I'm going to say, click this button up here and go and see one of the videos that I made about Chris Mould. I think you're going to like it. And I made about 3, so I'll put all the links in the box down below. And go and find out more about Chris Mould. In the meantime, keep drawing. Practice. And I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye-bye.